How are you? This is the third video, and we're going to be analyzing a little bit what multinational companies are. How do multinational companies emerge? The multinational company is by definition that economic unit that makes and administers long-term investments in at least one foreign country. These companies have certain advantages that he positions them in the vast majority of the time as very competitive companies and leaders in certain market segments and with an important share in it. This is because they work in most cases with very advanced technology, in addition to having in their vast majority economies of scale, whether internal or external, which we're going to analyze in class. In addition, very efficient production chains and also have in their vast majority of a recognized brand that allows them to enjoy a certain reputation through marketing. It should be noted that companies are attracted to other countries for different reasons, such as access to large consumer markets in growth, for example, those that are installed in Mexico because they want to reach the United States, or they are installed in certain countries because they want to access cheap supplies, such as labor, natural resources, or access to certain technologies. They want to be located in a certain geographical position with certain objectives, or they are located in certain places due to certain financial legislations, certain tax reasons, etc. In terms of the governments of the countries, they are interested in attracting multinational companies because they promote economic growth and create new jobs, in addition to investing and providing new technologies to the country. Regarding this, I want to mention that as a country, we must be very careful when opening the door to a multinational company. We must not assume that just because it is going to create jobs is already a sufficient reason to open the door. We must be very careful because there could be scenarios where they only create minimum wage jobs. And if that's the case, we must be very careful because the risk of the company having benefits in the short term is being taken in the place where it is being installed because it will offer a lot of jobs, but a permanent stagnation and poverty in the region where they are being installed, because the workers are always stuck in minimum wage. And a worker who is always stuck in minimum wage will never be able to save. And if he cannot save, he cannot practically build a better future. He becomes a slave to minimum wage. There are barriers that multinational companies usually face enter a country. National companies have the general advantage of better information about their country, their economy, their language, their laws, their politics, their customs. And a multinational company will often have to compete with national companies that have a series of natural advantages. It is much more difficult to enter the national market for all the reasons that we have just mentioned. First of all, for example, national companies have a base of clients that they have cultivated and that are already familiar with their brand. This loyalty to a local player must be overcome by the multinational company in such a way that does not cause a nationalist reaction. Secondly, local companies have also developed relationships in the supply chain, which can involve long-term contractual relations that exclude newcomers. And thirdly, national regulators sometimes tend to discriminate foreign officers. A fourth barrier could be the lack of institutional and cultural knowledge. All this, multinational companies have to fight against it when they want to enter a country. For example, more than 60% of the largest national companies in the world are common to achieve for long periods a lower profitability abroad than in their country of origin due to all these difficulties that we have just mentioned. Most times it is very difficult for a multinational company to enter despite having some prestige. Well, in the next video, we are going to talk about the stages of how a company becomes more dependent on the outside in its growth process. That is, we are going to analyze a company from the moment it is born and it is not dependent on the outside to how it is scaling and it is becoming increasingly dependent on the outside until it reaches an extreme where it can become multinational and be totally dependent on the outside trade. We'll see you in the next video.